turn the light on?
Yamuna Tira Manachari
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Astatar Shata Shri Śrīmad. His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charnarvinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astatar Shata Shri Śrīmad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vallabha Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Swami Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravanam Charne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Pastor Destarne. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1. Chapter is entitled The Manus, Administrators of the Universe. Today we're reading from text 19. Please repeat after me. Swarochi Dviti Astu. Swarochi Dviti Astu. Manur Agne Suto Bhavat. Manur Agne Suto Bhavat. Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat. Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat. Pramukastasya Chatmajaha. Pramukastasya Chatmajaha. Svarochisho Dviti Astu. Manur Agne Suto Bhavat. Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat. Pramukastasya Chatmajaha. Svarochisho Dviti Astu. Manur Agne Suto Bhavat. Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat. Pramukastasya Chatmajaha. Please chant. Svarochisho Dviti Astu. Manur Agne Suto Bhavat. Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukats Tasya Chatmajaha Svarichosho Dvitiyastu Manu Agne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochismat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarichosho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmanaha Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha. Vaishnavis. Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarochisho Dvitiyastu Manuragne Suto Bhavat Dumat Sushnena Rochismat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Svarochisha Svarochisha Dvitiyaha the second. Tu indeed Manuhu Manu Agnehe of Agni Sutaha the son Abhavat became Dumat Sushnena Rochishmat Pramukaha beginning with them Tasya of him Svarochisha Cha also Atmajaha sons. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The son of Agni, named Svarochisha, became the second Manu. His several sons were headed by Jumat, Sushena, and Rotishmat. Purport. Manvataram Manordeva Manuputra Sureshvaraha Rishayo Invataras Cha Hare Shadvitam Uchyate. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manu, the Manu Putra, the sons of Manu, the king of the heavenly planets, and the 7 great sages are all partial incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Manu himself, his sons Priyavrata and Uttanapada, the demigods created by Daksha, and the rishis like Marichi were all partial incarnations of the Lord during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. During that time, the incarnation of the Lord as Yagna took charge of ruling the heavenly planets. The next Manu was for Swarochisha. The Manus and the sages and demigods are further described in the following 11 verses. Swarochisho dvitiyastu Manur Agne Suto Bhavat Jumat Sushena Rochishmat Pramukas Tasya Chatmajaha Om Jnana Tremendasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So it is my great honor and pleasure to be here this morning with so many wonderful devotees. So happy to see your bright, happy, shining, smiling faces. And before I begin to speak, I seek the blessings of all the devotees present. Please give me your blessings that I can speak for my own purification. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Also, I'd like to just say that His Grace Prabhu was scheduled to give the class today. That's why we see the big turnout here. And we're missing his presence. But somehow we seek his blessings also. And everyone who's participating, that we can share nicely this topic of Srila Prabhupada's Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in the disciplic succession, honoring our beloved previous acharyas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So actually today's verse and this section of Bhagavatam, for the next 11 verses, we're beginning a section in which we will speak about succession and the disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam, evam imam rajarshayo viduhu, sakala neha mahata, yogunashta parantapa. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text number 2, Lord Krishna declares, Evam parampara praptam, that this disciplic succession, it was created by me, and somehow it was lost. But now Krishna is re-establishing the disciplic succession when speaking Bhagavad Gita. So this concept of succession is very, very important, especially when passing spiritual knowledge. So the example that is sometimes shared is that of a mango tree. If you have a mango tree, the ripest mangoes are generally at the top of the tree. And how to get those ripe mangoes to the ground? One may attempt to climb the tree to the very tippy top, pluck the ripe mango, and have your friend sitting at the base of the tree waiting to receive the mango. And then you drop the mango, you throw the mango to him, and it splatters, it splats, it opens up, and it gets damaged. Because it's very difficult to drop a ripe mango from the top of the tree and have it land safely. So the much more safe and wholesome way to bring the mango from the top of the tree is to have a few people involved on different branches of the tree, and that mango is handed down from the top branch to the next branch, and then that person hands it from the next branch down to the person on the branch below that, and so on and so on. And then the mango reaches intact to the person standing at the bottom of the tree. So our disciplic succession is like that. Krishna is Adi Guru. He's the original Guru, and he hands us mango of spiritual knowledge to his successors, like this to Arjuna, and so on and so forth. We have about 32 members of the disciplic succession mentioned in the beginning of most of Srila Prabhupada's books. So in addition to the spiritual succession, there's also a managerial succession, which we're hearing about in today's verse, where the different manus are passing on their administration from one manu to the next. And they have different assistants and different participants in the universal management. So before we discuss this further, we can just briefly revise the chapter. This is Canto 8, Chapter 1, the Manus, Administrators of the Universe. And we're hearing about Swayambhuva Manu and his exalted meditation, because he's not only a good manager, but he's a good devotee, what we call a Raja Rishi. Raj means the king, and Rishi means a saintly person. So Swayambhuva Manu is Raj Rishi, and he's meditating on the Supreme Lord. How great is the Supreme Lord! That the Supreme Lord is so wonderful. He has no beginning, no middle, no end. He organizes everything in the universe, in the creation, the maintenance, the annihilation. Everything is going on under his control, but still he's aloof and untouched by all of it. Maya jakshena prakritihi, Maya jakshena suyate sacharacharam, hetunanena kanteha, Jagad vipar vivartate, in the 9th chapter of Śrīmad Bhāgavad Gita, text number 10, Krishna says, Maya Jakshena Prakriti, I am the Ajaksh, I am the overseer of the Prakriti, of the material energy. I'm overseeing all that happens. Maya Jakshena Prakriti, Suyate Sa Chara Charam. Everything that's cha, everything that's charam, everything that's moving, everything that's not moving, I'm overseeing all of it. Hetu means cause. He's the cause of all that's going on. Hetu na nena konteya, O Arjuna. I am the Hetu, I am the cause. Jagad Vipar Vivartate. Of this Jagat, of this universe, everything is going on under my direction. But Krishna is not actually hands-on with the material energy. He delegates those tasks to others. And who are those others? As we're hearing in today's verse, in one sense, they're Krishna's expansions. Like in a sense, we are also expansions of Krishna. Maya Jakshena Prakriti, we say, Mamaivam so jiva loke, Mamaivam so jiva, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, Jiva Bhuta Mana Shashtani Indriyani, Mana Shashtani Indriyani, Prakriti Stani Karshati, Prakriti Stani Karshati. Lord Krishna explains that Mama Vamso Jiva Loke, Mama Amsha. Krishna says that these living entities, the jivas, the souls, Mama Amsha, they're my small parts and parcel, my Amsha. Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. They're Sanatan. They're eternal. The soul is eternal. Manashashtani Indriyani. They're struggling with the 6 senses, which includes the mind. Prakriti Stani Karshati. They're in this Prakriti. They're in this material world. And Stani, they're situated here. And Karshati. Boy, it's a difficult place to be. So in this way, we see how Krishna is expanding his energies. He's actually the source of everything, of all energies, as Lord Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 10, text number 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, aham sarvasya mataz sarvam pravartate, mataz sarvam iti madva bhajante mam, Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything comes from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So we see everything is ultimately an expansion of Krishna. As we hear into today's verse, the expansions of the manus throughout the universe. Svarochisho dvitiyas tu. So Svarochisho, he's the dvitiya, he's the second of the manus. And then he had sons. His several sons were headed by Dumat, Sushena, Rochishmat. Dumat, Sushena, and Rochismat. So beginning with him, this is how the manus are having their succession. So succession is extremely important. If there's no one to carry the ball, to carry the torch, then the show stops. So we always have to plan for succession in all of our activities, because the body is here today and gone tomorrow. So none of us will be around for a very long time. As we see in the example of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj went to Shonak, to the king's ashram. Parikshit Maharaj was in his ashram, and he was cursed because he put the snake around Shonak Rishi's neck, and Shonak Rishi's son Shringi cursed him. And he was cursed to die in how many days? 7 days. So he was thinking, better I go and hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Better I go and get ready to leave my body, prepare for the next stage. Now, what kind of preparations did he do before he left the palace? He did something very important before giving up his kingdom. He had his son. He appointed his son as the next king, as the next ruler. So this concept of succession is very, very important. It should be a plan for succession. So in today's verse, we're hearing how the different the son of Agni became the second Manu, and his other sons were also present there. So like this, we see the succession of the universe in the administrative aspect. In the purport today, Srila Prabhupada writes, Manvataram Manur Deva, that there are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Manu. The Manu Putraha, the sons of Manu, the king of the heavenly planets, and the 7 great sages are all partial incarnations of the Supreme Lord. So these are different incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is expanding himself and having partial incarnations. So that means that they're empowered by him. They have his Shakti, like Shakti Avesh. It's one kind of empowered incarnation, a Shakti Avesh avatar. So he's empowering them to perform different services. So similarly, whenever we're attempting a service, we cannot do anything without the mercy of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. We have to have a certain degree of empowerment. Otherwise, we can't move at all. Yasyat prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasyat prasadat nagatit kutopi. That when the spiritual master is pleased and Krishna is pleased, then a certain amount of empowerment will come that we can execute the services. Otherwise, without empowerment from Krishna, we can't do anything. As we see when Arjuna, at the end of the Bhagavatam, Arjuna was attacked by some just local towny dacoits, some low-class dacoits. And even though he had defeated the greatest of Maharatis on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, at that time he was not empowered and he could not defeat them. So sometimes Krishna will give us the empowerment. And it's also mentioned in Caitanya Charitamrita that without the empowerment of Krishna, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness. So we see the example of Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada traveled without any money across the Atlantic Ocean and began spreading Krishna consciousness in North America at a time when those people were so degraded, the hippies. They were breaking all regulative principles and they were unclean, and still he was able to transplant Krishna consciousness and distribute it to them. So how is this possible? So this was possible only with the empowerment of Krishna. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi. If you don't have Krishna Shakti, if you're not empowered, then na pravartana. You cannot establish Krishna consciousness. So this is an example how Krishna is empowering individuals to execute different services on his behalf. Because ultimately we're all servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupahoy, Krishnara Nityadas. We're all eternally servants of Krishna. And when we serve Krishna, then with the mercy of Krishna we can get empowerment and serve Krishna properly. We should not be fooled to think that by our false ego that we're the cause, that we're accomplishing whatever service we're able to accomplish. All service that we can do is just by the mercy of Guru Maharaj and Krishna. This was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada would be glorified and he'd say, it's all by the mercy of my spiritual master. And my spiritual master has sent all of you wonderful young boys and girls to help me. Prakriti kriyamanani, prakriti kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvashaha, ahankara vimudatma, kardaham iti manyate. The spirit soul is bewildered by the ahankar, by the false ego, and thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. So we should not think that we're the cause, but Krishna's hetu nanena konteya. Krishna is the cause, and he's empowering us in order to serve him. So how to get more empowerment? How to get connected? Krishna is like the power source. He's like the power generator. And this disciplic succession is like a plug point. If we want to plug into the wall, into a plug point, that way we can connect to the main power source, the main power generator. So the disciplic succession gives us access to the supreme power source. So we want to connect to the Evam Parampara Praptam. We want to connect. So in ISKCON, there's parallel lines of succession, actually. There's a spiritual parampara, the gurus and the disciples, and there's a managerial parampara, an administrative parampara, like the manus. And the GBC, the ultimate managing authority in ISKCON, is empowering different personalities, temple presidents, and zonal supervisors in different continents and different levels of management in order to offer authorized service to us, because it's ultimately seva that will save us. Seva will save you. So when we get authorized seva through either of these two lines of succession, we're connected to that power source. So this is a wonderful way to access. We can access through the gurus and the disciples, and we can also access this mercy through the administrative channels of authorized ISKCON administrators. So this is a wonderful opportunity. It's a double opportunity. And we can take advantage of both of them, and they work in harmony together. Harmonized lines of disciplic of succession, harmonized lines of authority. And this way we get connected, we plug into that plug point, and zzz, we get charged with spiritual Shakti. We get the opportunity. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The rishis, like Marichi, were all partial incarnations of the Lord during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. During that time, the incarnation of the Lord as Yajna took charge of ruling the heavenly planets. Okay, so incarnation, Yajna, he took charge of ruling the heavenly planets, because we heard in the earlier verse that sometimes this post of Brahma or Shiva or Indra, there's no one qualified to take the post. So an incarnation of the Lord will take the post. So this is an example of that Yajna has taken charge of ruling the heavenly planets. Then the next Manu was Svarochisa. And there's so many Manus in each day of Brahma. There are thousands of Manus. And Brahma sees them all come and go. And even Brahma comes and goes. The Manu and the sages and demigods are further described in the following 11 verses. So now we're getting ready to go through 11 more verses where we'll see all the different Manus and demigods and sages. So in this way, we understand the importance of succession. Evam parampara praptam. There's a spiritual succession, giving that spiritual knowledge. And there's also a managerial succession that as one manager, as one Manu, as one department in charge leaves their post, he prepares, and another personality gets ready to take on that post. And sometimes there's no one qualified, so the Lord takes over. It reminds me of the early days in ISKCON India, when Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the GBC, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj wanted to go back to America to do preaching with the Radha Damodar bus party. And then Srila Prabhupada practically had to take over as the GBC for India, because there was no one else qualified to do it, because all the Western devotees were getting cheated by the Indians. And it was complicated also. Indian preaching was complicated. So Srila Prabhupada took it upon himself to say, okay, I'll take charge of the Indian management. And Srila Prabhupada did that. And then gradually, qualified individuals came in succession to take over from Srila Prabhupada. Personalities like His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who became the GBC for India and was handling that very responsibly. And then succeeded and joined by a great personality like His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj, who became a co-GBC for India. And then gradually other devotees also joined hand and took up responsibilities as like expansions, and were empowered to spread the Krishna consciousness movement in India. So I think I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to ask if there are any comments, questions, or discussion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We have a hand from Ganga Prabhu. It looks like Aniruddha Prabhu also would like to share something. Yeah? We read the next verses? Okay. Can we take Prabhu's question? Yeah, go ahead.
Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. It's interesting in the Bhagavad Gita where it actually mentions in the time factor of how many manus there are in one day of Brahma, and then how many cycles of the trade, the yugas. I think there's 100 yugas, no, 1,000 yugas in each day of Manu.
It's a long time.
It puts a time perspective of we are in that cosmic manifestation. Just understanding that one day of Brahma is 100 manus, and in each manu there's 1,000 cycles of the yugas, and we're in Kali Yuga. And of this Kali Yuga.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that perspective that Krishna is Vibhu, he's great, and we're Anu, we're small. Krishna's there in eternal time, and our little existence is that like that of an ant, or even more insignificant in perspective of eternal time. So it's really amazing. It's like when when Srila Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, he was meeting with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and they were in the temple, or one building on the street, and Srila Prabhupada was saying how there's a big universe, and within the universe there's one planet, the Earth planet, and on the Earth planet there's one continent called North America, and in North America there's one state called California, and in California there's one street called Wasika Boulevard, and on Wasika Boulevard there's one house, and in that house there's one room, and in that one room there's Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who thinks he's very important. So yeah, having this cosmic overview of the scale of time, it gives us a perspective of how insignificant we really are. But when we connect to that power source, when we connect to the disciplic succession, then we become significant. We engage in Lord Krishna's service, and then our life has meaning and value. Especially when we engage in the Sankirtan mission, the distribution of the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And I'll also put in a plug for the evening Harinam. Is there Harinam this evening? Yes, so can humbly appeal to all the devotees that are available to kindly participate and take advantage. Plug into that plug point. This Harinam Sankirtan is a great opportunity to get a really good connection to the mercy of the Supreme Lord by practicing the Yuga Dharma, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Is that all right, Prabhu?
Maharaj, I was also listening to your class yesterday, and I'd asked, what happened to the dacoits?
Which dacoits?
It's still Radharani and the Lord. I found out, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I found out that most of those dacoits were killed by fighting amongst themselves. Then a group of dacoits were also caught on the bridge just out of Krishnanagar. They were confronted on both sides and they jumped over the bridge and they committed suicide. And the chief of the dacoits, he was found underneath a bus that had gone around the districts of Nadia. He was somehow or other knocked over or something, but he was caught under the bus and they found him ground down to he was just dragged all around the districts of Nadia.
That's gruesome. And incidentally, I can also add that when they attacked, devotees fired back and shot 2 of the dacoits, killed 2 of the dacoits during the attack. Die. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Thank you for sharing those details. I had never heard that before. And this idea that the chief of the dacoit was just like perpetually dragged under a bus for who knows how long.
He was grated around Nadia.
Yeah, it was like put through a meat grinder or something. My God, gruesome. Don't mess with Lord Nrsimhadev or Srimati Radharani.
Don't mess around with the devotees.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for
Hare
your
Krishna.
class. I was just wondering in the verse where Krishna says that this succession was lost there.
Yeah.
What succession is he talking about there?
Yeah, there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 2. Evam parampara praptam, emam parampara, imam rajarshayo viduhu, sakala neha mahata, yoga nashta parantapa. So the word yoga means to connect. It's a connection. And nashta means to cut, to break, to destroy. So that connection was destroyed. So in this section of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining that originally I spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. So when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, it was not the first time that he was speaking Bhagavad Gita. He had spoken previously to Vivishwan, the sun god, and that was billions of years earlier. So we tell people Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years old sometimes, but it's actually much, much older. And when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Vivishwan, that also perhaps was not the first time he had spoken it. He might have spoken it earlier also. So this is a very old, a very, very, very old parampara, at least old by our perspective. As Ganga was saying, the universal time is huge. So then your question is, how was it broken, what happened, and how do we understand what's the significance, correct? Yeah. So then Krishna says, I spoke it to Vivishwan, but the disciplic succession was lost. And now he's reviving it again through Arjuna. So I gave the example at the beginning of the class, talking about handing the mangoes from one branch to the next. So he handed it to Vivishwan, and Vivishwan handed it to the next and the next. But then at some point, it stopped moving down the tree. It got stuck. It was discontinued. The subscription ran out. Right? Please renew your subscription, or we'll cut your services. Right? So the services were cut, the subscription ran out, but now Krishna is again speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and now at this time the subscription is getting renewed. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, but I was also thinking in relation to our parampara.
To our parampara.
Yeah.
Okay. So our parampara, well, Vivishwan is also part of our parampara, but he was there, and then there was a disciplic succession, and then it was broken, and nothing happened for some time, and now 5,000 years ago, Krishna to Arjuna, the disciplic succession is starting again. So it's the same line, but there's a break. There's a break in the action. There's a break in the line. But then the line is being reestablished. You could think of it, you have a mala, right? And each bead is a member of the succession. And then at some point, there's no beads, right? It breaks, but then the beads start again. But it's the same mala, same succession. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Nice graphic example. All right, thank you. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, you had mentioned that without the empowerment of the spiritual master, Lord Krishna, we cannot do the services in Krishna consciousness. But sometimes we see in some services, it's practically impossible to do them. So does that mean we're not putting our efforts into that service, or does it mean we're not getting the empowerment from the spiritual master and Lord Krishna?
So thank you for your question. Let me see if I understand your question correctly. You're asking that sometimes it seems like a service is impossible. So why is the service seeming to be impossible? Is it A, we haven't been fully empowered by the spiritual master, or B, what was B?
We're not putting our own efforts into that service.
That we're not putting enough effort into the services. So, thank you. My spiritual master taught me that communication means cooperation. This is actually a quote Mukunda Maharaj used to always say very often. Communication means cooperation. So sometimes we may receive a service from the spiritual master that appears to be impossible. But then we can further communicate with the spiritual master and say, I'm experiencing these challenges with the service. What should I do? Then the spiritual master may make some suggestions how you can accomplish the service, or he may modify the service according to his perception of what is appropriate for you. So that is one consideration. But don't give up too easily. Srila Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. So we should be ready. Sometimes devotees can accomplish the impossible. things, miracles can happen. Krishna can do so many things. There was a couple of devotees from Eastern Europe, and they had gone to North America to try to open one center in Reno, Nevada. And Reno, Nevada is a very sinful place where it's filled with gambling houses. And they were struggling to open the center there. And they had a car, and they were paying rent, and they had to pay their car loan, and they had to pay the rent on the house on the center. And they were just deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. And they didn't know what they were going to do. And they had to pay the next day like $10,000. Otherwise, they would lose the house. So they were walking on the street, and they saw a gambling house, and they were calling free try for the one-armed bandit. The one-armed bandit, you pull the arm of the machine, and it spins around, and you can get like cherry, 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 like that. And if you get the cherry, 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 you win so much money. And they were offering free try. And the wife asked the husband, should we try it? And is it gambling? And the husband said, no, it's free, let's give it a try. So she pulled it, ching, ding, 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 cherry, 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 $10,000, Haribol! They got the money and they paid the rent. So sometimes things seem impossible, but if we just keep trying to rely on the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, it may be possible. So don't give up too easily. I remember when I first joined the Centennial House, was in Delhi in 1992 to prepare for Srila Prabhupada's 100th birth anniversary. I was a new bhakta in Delhi, smelly, helly Delhi in the summer. It was difficult. So we had an office, and there were about 30 devotees serving there, and we didn't have a receptionist. So the phone would be continuously ringing. And my Guru Maharaj told me, if you have any obstacle in your devotional service, let me know. So it was driving me crazy that the phone was ringing and people weren't answering the phone. So I was always lifting the phone. And then I called, and the same day or next day, I called my Guru Maharaj and I said, Guru Maharaj, I'm having this obstacle because I can't do my seva because I'm constantly needing to answer the phone. I said, Guru Maharaj, I have an obstacle. And he said, already? So I told him that, and then he helped me. And we arranged some shifts, some schedules, so that devotees would answer the phone at different times. We assigned that seva. So basically, to try to summarize the answer that I'm trying to offer you, is that we want to understand that we should keep trying. We should be determined and don't give up too easily. And also, we should take guidance and input from the spiritual master when things get really, really tough. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Okay, so don't give up too easily. Be determined. Utsaha, nischayat, dharyat. Be enthusiastic, determined, and patient. And with the mercy of Krishna, Krishna can intervene and do a miracle. Anything can happen. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Dvija Chandra.
Dvija Pitambar.
Dvija Pitambar, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned about, and what the verse talks about the succession.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the sort of the newer generation of devotees are having to take the responsibilities now or at some point in future. But the devotees that we will take the responsibilities from, we can see they are so empowered and they're so successful in what they do. And so taking that responsibility from them, and we know ourselves and how limited and full of faults that we may be. So taking that parampara, like that succession and that services, How do we see that? How are we supposed to take that service?
Yeah, the devotee always thinks that he's unqualified, and only by the empowerment of the spiritual master can we accomplish our different services. So you're asking, if I understand you correctly, that what should our mood be when seeking to accept the empowerment and the services and carry on the succession. Is that correct? So the devotee feels himself unqualified, but at the same time dependent on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And with that empowerment comes the capacity to execute the services. So we should just try to prepare ourselves as best as possible, taking whatever training we can, using a mentor system, being mentored by those devotees that are going to hand over the succession at some time, learning from them and taking guidance from them. So in this way, seeking to be prepared for carrying on the mission. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. So a plan of succession is very, very important, and we should start earlier better than later. So this year, 5 GBCs resigned from the GBC. Some of them had successors and some of them didn't. We need to plan so that we can serve Prabhupada's movement in an effective, efficient, and responsible manner. Does that answer your question? Yes? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Anyone would like to say more on this topic? I know Aniruddha Prabhu is always thinking about succession in the community. Aniruddha Prabhu, would you like to share some thoughts on this?
I can't remember. I can't remember when it is, but we're having a succession planning meeting in the next few weeks. If you want to come along, you're welcome.
Are you asking me or?
No, Dweja. So over the last 2 or 3 months, Atulya's been compiling a organisational chart of all of the activities that we're executing in the 6 locations that we are active. And we've labelled, there's about 153 positions, and we've labelled each one either as a key leadership role or as a special contribution or what might be critical in that we've discovered we actually don't have some positions filled. So guess what? They're critical, right? Some roles. So based on those, on that analysis, we'll then work out a plan for each of those positions that need replacements or need to be filled. There's quite a few that are critical, or when I say critical, important, not critical, important. And the idea is then that we identify who might be suitable to take on a leadership or a key position, and find out where, and analyse the situation and see what mentoring that individual might need in order to be trained. And it starts at the level of guru. I guess we consider the guru's considered to be the topmost role, I guess, of course we're all gurus in many respects, setting example and teaching by example. And sannyasis, visiting sannyasis and other, so there's the spiritual leadership to consider, which is kind of your parampara, as you discussed. And then there's also the management roles, which are also critical within ISKCON, and Prabhupada really established the two side by side, the spiritual succession, but also a managerial structure. And of course, Srila Prabhupada paid a lot of attention to these. You know, there's kind of a mood in ISKCON that if you're a manager, you're somehow contaminated by material association or whatever. Right? Whereas we find here in the Bhagavatam, there's a discussion of the Raja Rishis, and as we'll explore tomorrow, their responsibilities and in maintaining spiritual culture, right? And principles of Dharma. So the idea is that we attract as many qualified people as possible to take on the responsibility of managing the spiritual and also the managerial. Of course, and managerial, as far as Prabhupada was concerned, that was spiritual in any case. Right? Maharaj Parikshit, the Pandavas, and here we see in the Bhagavatam, the Manus, all, well, some of them are actually incarnations. Prabhupada says they're partial incarnations. So even Krishna is engaged in management. Right? So it's important, just like, the role of a housewife in managing family affairs is super important. So we're developing a plan. I've said this more than once before, but my plan is to retire at 70, at least from day-to-day management, and be more, to preach more or to teach. And somehow or other, my service is considered critical. It's a critical leadership. And interesting, yesterday there's in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, among men, I am the monarch. Interestingly, right? And so the king represents Krishna. And in ISKCON, the role of a temple president is kind of like it's prominent position, right? And so, when people introduce you, they say, oh, he's the temple president of Melbourne, right? And everybody goes, woo, right? I'm thinking, well, take it easy, guys. But, so we should understand the importance of each of these roles. And Srila Prabhupada put a lot of importance on these specific roles within ISKCON and gave great acknowledgement and appreciation. Right? So we need to think about making some changes. And ultimately, we're not all here we're not going to be here forever. So we need to make plans. And we're fortunate in many respects, we've got that opportunity. And of course, at least for myself and Achincha Rupa, we don't plan to go anywhere. We'll still be around. Achincha Rupa will still be telling people what to do. But we need to make those. We need to make those adjustments now. And you know, the writing's on the wall, and we're seeing, you know, in the last few years, Kadambakana Maharaj and Gopal Krishna Maharaj and Bhakti Swami, and there are plenty of acharyas who are teaching by example, and so we have to learn from that. Even now, Jayapataka Maharaj is not very well, and so it's kind of sobering, right? But we have examples in the Bhagavatam, so we should take advantage of those. And while we've got an opportunity to train younger devotees, we should take advantage of that. And we have many. We're very fortunate in Melbourne. We have a lot of young devotees who are enthusiastic and capable. So it shouldn't be too difficult. But that requires maturity, not competition, but as you said, cooperation. And you know, I've been meditating on the need also to you know, we need to have more gurus initiating, and it's my understanding, my leaning is towards training local devotees to be gurus. That's heavily challenging because that's a hugely responsible position. There's a lot of respect. There's also going to be a tendency to compete. Oh, you're going to be a guru, I want to be a guru. Right? And so we have to, in building community, which is something that when I became the temple president, I realised I wasn't just filling in spots on rosters, but it was building a community. And that requires quite a broad vision. And so that's why we need to consider all of the roles that we have and the responsibilities that we have. And it's why Achincha Rupa gets upset when the kitchen's not clean, because, you know, on the one hand we want to be the top leadership, let me take the responsibility, but at the same time we can't even keep the floor clean. So there's a few, there's training opportunities that await us, and also challenges, so that we as a community actually model the kind of behaviour that we read about in the Bhagavatam, we read about in the Caitanya Charitamrita, and we face some of those personal and group challenges where we meet our services without personal, you know, in a mood of service rather than in a mood of, ooh, what's in it for me, which is always a challenge. So, yeah, a lot of work's been done, more work to be done. Please let me know if you're interested. We'll fit you in somewhere. And, you know, it's happening already. We already have a community of devotees that are working together. It's happening. It's not that we're not doing it. More Harinam, more book distribution, more Prasadam distribution. And Dweja's already doing it. He's a good book distributor and a good team, you know, builder. He and Gopa have built the book distribution team from just a few devotees to, we are 150 devotees distributing books in the marathon. Right? And increased book distribution last year. So it's happening. we should realise that it's happening, but there's more to be done, basically.
Thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have some Nisinga oil if anyone would like.